Alright, hello everybody. I think stream should be able to hear us at this point. Obviously, we are on a 5 minute delay, but we have just seen, I think, Chief Keef Zionist Movement finish up. In that match, Magnet Scheinengeschütz, aka German Railgun Team, went 100-0. Uh, so, sorry there, Chief Keef. Um, but next up in this Arena 2, we are going to be seeing aggressively mid-tier up against Blahidjadin Freedom somebody or other. I am joined by Radikos for the casting couch
Hey,
right now. How are you doing, Radikos?
good. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm enjoying these matches. I've been enjoying the entire tournament, even if I did get knocked out yesterday. Um,
Yep. Well, I understand. I got knocked out last week.
so yeah, it's been an interesting, different format. I don't know. It's been uh, odd to Theorycraft 4 a little bit, right? Like, you've got these very specific roles that you need
Yeah.
to have ships in, and you need to make sure that you are kind of building within that. Obviously, there's very limited T2 ships available.
Yeah.
Um, really, only the ECM frigates, or the EWAR frigates, then the T3 destroyers, and then in that cruiser slot, you've got the Hictors. So,
Right.
like, it's sort of a rock, paper, scissors building block kind of format to an
Yeah,
extent,
it's
right?
absolute dice roll. Absolutely. It definitely is. You got to be prepared for the comps that you could bring that can beat the comp that you want to bring. But that can all change definitely in the ban process. But
Yeah,
um,
especially with these three bands, and you can't touch Logi. It's
right.
it's one of those odd bits because even in the Angi games or the AT, you would see Logi bands being thrown
Oh,
about.
absolutely.
You would be seeing a lot of kind of control bans being thrown about, whereas in this
Mhm.
format, you can only ban two of any particular. Oh, we do have teams warping in
Oh, here
already,
we go.
so we'll not jump too much into the ban strategy right now. Apart from
Yeah,
to
yeah.
say that aggressively mid tier have banned the Arbitrator Sentinel Crucifier, knocking out all of those disruptors, and Blahidjadin have banned the Roke, the Jackdaw, and the Ashamu. Do you want to talk us
Well, as
through
expected.
what we
Oh,
are
what?
seeing here?
Yeah, I mean, as expected, we're seeing uh, a kind of mirror match here. Just straight up Abaddons versus Piani's versus Phoboses and Augurs and Pontifexes and Carries. This is kind of like the stronger comps uh, of this meta. I would say the only thing is Rush can a good team with Rush can definitely dismantle a team bringing this projection comp, but these guys are gonna play who's the better carries pilot. And since Isaac was on PNP last year, I'm gonna have to side on the side of Blahaja, the Dean, whatever they're called. Uh, I expect to see these P&Is to be, and Battens to be shooting at the augurs as much as they can. But if they're smart, they are going to be loading some standard um, or some microwave and shooting at the carries and try to apply that pressure nonstop. But the big thing here is going to be who wins the carries war.
Yeah, so here we are. We are off. My Space
Like I
Mouse
said, they're
apparently
going
has some
right on them.
acceleration going, but yeah, the Augurer of Mini Shro taking a lot of damage while Rima Ambrail is taking just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
just a tiny little bit. Ooh,
Yeah, I
this
mean,
this
it is
this is
down.
that is a bad. That's a bad thing to see happen with less than 30 seconds in the match, right?
Yeah, you don't want your Logi going down that quick unless you're making that Logi trade. And, Tali without Logi, they really have no shot of really pulling this back. I mean, there's got to be a major mistake here on the road side or aggressively mid tier side to throw this match here. PNI in this format it usually isn't too tanked because you want to project as much DPS as you can.
Yeah, but they're
But
still
the same
not.
token,
They're not like squishy ships even by
no,
default, right? You can
yeah.
kill them
I mean,
under
even without
reps,
a
but it
plate,
takes you some time.
right? Yeah. So now there
And
goes
we
their
do see
next
that
piece go down.
Phobos. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they take down this PNI, that's that will help. But with the auger up, it's just going to take so much longer. It's really hard to
And here
see
goes
here.
that carries now. That carries is going to pop very quickly without those reps from the Logi of. Uh, I forget what the Logi part
The
was
neon
called
team,
already.
yeah,
Mini.
yeah.
That carries
Oh
is
yeah.
just going to drop at some point.
Yeah,
You,
he's
you
not
can
too long
throw
for this world.
drones
When he
there and
turns next, he's gonna have
he
an
dies
issue. He
eventually.
does have light bots on him, which is the reason why he is still alive. But when you have another carries damping you out, and or just damping, you know, the rest of their DPS, so they can't do anything like that. PNI is just pulling back. It's a no issue. Isaac is one hell of a pilot. I mean, he's just running around right now for his life. I'm getting repped up by bots, but the Abaddon's taking a lot of DPS. They're finally applying some DPS on the Augur, the Rima and the Augur. But
Yeah,
at this
th-
point, they can just slowly chip away at whatever ship they really need to.
yeah, they really needed to get the. Um, they need to get something with a scram on top of Rima in this Augura to
Mm-hmm.
really punch through. Unfortunately, unless that carries has a scram, or maybe the Pontifex, I'm not seeing anything that can chase down that Augura and catch up to it.
No,
It's
and
not
he can just
unusual
run
to
out of
have a Prophecy
range.
Navy with a scram, but that's normally there to hold down a battleship and kind of just sit on it, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't chase
exactly.
you.
I mean, right now they're
Meanwhile,
having to switch to this Phobos, and it'll take some DPS with the Abaddon still in the field. But with that Augur up, I mean, once he cycles off his scram, he can just get repped.
yeah. Meanwhile, the Abaddon of Dragonlord is holding somewhat. He's doing his best. You know what? I've just talked about the Prophecy Navy not really generally going in on a Logi and trying to catch up to it, but
That's what's caught
Miri
up.
is jumping in.
Yeah.
He's doing the work. He's putting in the time, trying to make it happen, trying to get something onto this Augura so that they can push through. Um, Dragon Lord.
He's right next to it, but they're still not shooting that. They're shooting the Phobos. I mean,
Some
I would
small
assume
damage. They need to make the switch soon though.
I mean, he needs to be shooting that Augur already. I mean, that Abaddon can only take so long. Like, yeah, it probably most likely has reactive, so it's good here if they don't have any explosive drones up. But
Yeah, and that Abaddon is now around about 25% and dropping. Still slowly dropping.
yeah,
They've got to get some kill out here. That Phobos
yeah, the Phobos
hovering
they
at
need
half
to.
armor. They
Yeah,
just need to throw a little bit of heat, push through.
hard to push through when already lost your Logi and your Phobos. It's rough. Abaddon going into hull.
Yeah,
Phobos getting DPS, and the Rota or Rima is taking
some
DPS now, but
some damage being applied, some slowly. I can't
Isaac
help but
getting
think this is just a
getting
little
some
bit.
pot shots taken at him, probably from a PNI or that Phobos that's slowly dying.
We're hitting the five. We're hitting about the 5 minute mark here, and about the halfway mark, and I can't help
There
but
goes the
think with that
Abaddon.
Abaddon gone, this is potentially just a little bit too little, too late now for
Yeah,
Light
unfortunately,
Eugene.
this will be a really huge comeback. Like I said earlier, there goes Isaac and the carries. Rest in peace. There would be a huge throw from the aggressive into your team. I assume there's gonna be a lot of shit talking in the Overclocker Discord after this, but it'll be friendly, just some jibbing. But
Yeah, I mean the tournament scene is one of those places where we chat a lot of absolute rubbish at each other, but broadly
oh yeah,
speaking, it's all in good fun.
yeah,
Nine times out of 10.
yeah. There's just rare instances where some stuff is pretty
Meanwhile,
clearly.
Ivan going for the boundary. There he goes.
Oh,
What
there he
did you
goes.
get, Ivan? 193 to
Ooh.
your wreck. 193 is a respectable effort for a Pontifex.
That's a great effort for Pontifex.
I would say, if you'd managed to make it over the 200, that would have been a good effort, but I will say 193 is respectable, for sure. Meanwhile, the Prophecy Navy of Mira just in the middle there, in the mix, locked up, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. Yeah, feels bad, man.
Yeah, it's
So,
just too bad.
what
But
do
you
we
know,
what do we think might have been enough to kind of give them a fighting chance to come back there? Like, was it all in the Logi trade that they missed, or was there something else that could have happened?
With this mirror comp, the Logi trade is so huge. Like, I mean, you have a carries up still at that time, and you can affect like that it getting its reps, but you're still or it giving out its reps, but it still has to compete with another carries that is most likely either cycling through you or just cycling through the other DPS. So it really just the incoming DPS isn't that bad, and I just feel that Logi trade is such a huge thing at the beginning. I don't know. It seems like just like Damp War was one, and can't really do anything after that, other than try to get out of range and come back in. But once the carries is damped, you can swap it out to something else. Sometimes if you can be quick about it when it's like trying to pull out and come back in. But outside of that, maybe I just don't see it really happening. That's really hard. Once that Logi trade goes, it's really all over.
Yeah, for sure. And like you say, with the carries playing the Damp War, as we all call it in the scene, for anybody who isn't watching, the Damp War is what we call when you've got two bonus damping ships, like the carries, going at each other, trying to control the other, and whoever manages to control the other first, or quickest, or most aggressively, can then really start to have an impact on the other ships in their opponent's team. If you lose it, you are on the back foot. You're really struggling to come back in, to break those damps on you, and then be able to control some of your opponent's team. It's a really critical part of the very early stages of a match.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really determines a lot. I mean, we've during AT and plug and play, we practiced with that comp, that triple BS with the double Mollis a lot because it was all about winning a Damp War. And once you won that Damp War, it was just so much easier to spread those damps. Once one is damped, you can spread it out with the other Mollis, and it was just really just like whatever you felt like killing at that point. But it really just causes a lot of chaos for the team that doesn't win that war. And yeah, I mean, we saw here that Augur just got blasted.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that one of my ongoing efforts with the Goon AT team is trying to ensure that we have enough people that have Electronic Attack Frigate 5 trained. Like, it is a surprisingly niche skill for a lot of people who just normally play on Tranquility, right? But once you get into the tournament stuff, those Electronic Attack frigates become worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I cannot agree more.
Right, so in that matchup, we see Blahidjedin going into their... Do they drop? That was the second match of Group C.
So they have Premature and Evacuation versus Baz on the main stream next. On our stream. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so over on the mainstream right now, they're probably showing Lazy Piglets, so that's the Tuskers versus Yeet Fleet Elite.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at the time. And then there will be a bit of a brief break, about 20 minutes or so,
Cool.
Then we will be back for 4 more matches here in Arena 2 before handing back over to the mainstream for the final 2 matches, the tiebreak matches of these second group stages. So up next in Arena 2, we will be seeing Nanite Toothpaste versus Chief Keef Zionist somebody after a bit of a break. But like you say, we do have Tuskers versus Yeet Fleet Elite over on the mainstream right now. Yeet Fleet getting absolutely taken apart by this Tuskers execution.
What's good to see here,
but they will not go
Armageddon going down. Yeah.
Yeah. They
so the new pressure's still there from an Arbitrator and a Navy Miram, right? Well, maybe not. But if he's on the Navy Miram.
If they can,
you're shooting kinetic and thermal into kinetic and thermal resists.
Yeah.
But he can still shit out some damage, and if he can take down the Navy Miram,
this Navy Brutix doesn't appear to have a local rep either, which may be the oversight that kills them.
Well, it might be a hull tank.
If he's going full man mode, I will give him credit. And indeed,
I mean, it's going away slowly.
It is chunking slowly, yeah.
I mean, they could kill this Navy Miram, and then the only thing is like they have to kill one more ship, right? At least, and it has to be the Arbitrator. Because then 10, 11, no, still 43.
If they kill the Navy Merm before the Navy Brutix goes down, they still have to then kill
an Arbitrator or Exec.
You have to kill. You have to kill the 2 cruisers if the Navy.
Well, you have to kill if the Navy Brutix dies. Yes.
If they can push through this Navy Myrmidon and the Navy Brutix can kind of stabilize, because an Arbitrator, while it's got some drones, it does not have a lot of damage. It's not a Phobos, it's not a Devoter in this format. It's not even, the Ashimu or the not the Vindicator, the Vigilant, right? Which do push out a certain amount of damage. If they can push through this Navy Merm, that Arbitrator has, 200 DPS?
That's so much.
Maybe?
I mean, they were able to push they had a Phobos on it most the whole time, and that Armageddon was dying. I just don't see this Navy Miram. You're shooting into the high resists of higher resists naturally of maybe different. It's not different with faction with the Navy Miram. I can't remember, but it's just not, the DPS isn't there. The Navy Brutix, while being an absolute monster hull tank gamer, this is where Yeet Fleet, gets beat by, AT champions. So.
And they are AT champions for a reason, right? Like they will come out with anything and execute. You could have the perfect mirror match, and running into Tuskers, you have always got to be worried about even the smallest mistakes that your team makes, because they will punish you for it.
Like Navy Miram's gonna go down.
However,
right here. At the same time as the Navy Brutix, like they need to get that Navy Brutix need to apply some damage to one of those cruisers, so they can effectively maybe try to catch it. But right now, the Navy Miram, I think,
if that Brutix goes down, I think the Merm recovers.
Yeah.
They have to kill the Navy Brutix. They have to kill the Merm as the Brutix goes down, and I'm not sure it's gonna happen.
If he was in hull right now with it, I would be a little more excited. But it's just the Navy Brutix they just couldn't get it done. That's really hard to go against a drone control with TDs and damps. Like, that's really hard.
Yeah, that Navy Merm is touching structure now, but 2:45 on the clock. From what I'm seeing on the live stream.
Yeah, you gotta kill 2 more things in 2 minutes if you kill the Navy Miram, and there's an exec there.
You gotta kill more than that. You like, with the way that the points work in this format.
You have to kill the exec and the Arbitrator.
Yeah, you have to kill the Navy Merm and both cruisers in just over 2 minutes. And while the Navy Merm will go, you've then got a Hyperion trying to. You've got a Hyperion. And I think it's a blaster Hyperion based on, how comfortable.
So it's got to go catch everything, and it's not gonna. I mean, it could catch the Arbitrator, but maybe. It's going to take a while, and Let's see here. Let's see what blood can do, huh? Speeding up. Let's see him. See if he can catch something here and put it down, and then catch one more thing.
Go on, Bloods. You know,
Oh,
1v4, the honorable 1v4.
I mean, he should be shooting. I hope he's shooting null at the arbitrator right now. But
He's got some drones thrown out on something, but it looks like he's being defanged by the arbitrator. Maybe
he needs to send those on the stork. It is an armor stork, so
he's got a grapple on the arbitrator.
It is Stu
a minute
Miner.
20.
Okay.
You know,
Stu Miner's a very good pilot. I don't think he's gonna be able to drones that just kill the armor stork. Even has very crappy tank. I mean, this has got to happen so quick here. Through exec reps, he's got to push through, then catch the other cruiser. Like, he has to catch the other
yeah, cruiser. And the exec,
and that's a logic pilot and an exec, and that's going to take forever to kill. The nuke pressure, and he needs at least a minute of nuke pressure. That's four or five cycles. Like, I just don't see that being able to. He'd have to be on it right now. You got to give props to the guy for fighting this out and making it still, pretty interesting to watch. But
he's working for it. But unfortunately, we kind of knew where this was going.
Right. Yeah. Maybe like 2 more minutes, and they, this would be very, very interesting here.
It would have been much closer if they'd had an extra 2 minutes for sure. Because there goes the arbitrator. He does get the arbitrator, but 10 seconds left on the clock. Yeah. Well played, Blood. Well played, buddy.
Yeah, very well played. Absolutely.
And there is that beautiful explosion. You know, we've got to give props to the art team, right? Over the last few years, the art team really has done a huge amount in making Eve just like such a beautiful, beautiful game.
Well, I mean, yes, they've made it better than I think it already was. I really thought Eve, I played Eve on potato mode for almost my whole
it's always been
playing Eve,
unique
and
in that sense. But
yeah, like in the last couple of years, it has been extraordinary and much better. The Skinner thing, that's so huge. Giving that to the players to make custom ones, really, I think helps out. Just the skins that they make, because then they can, use those skins as intended to be very, cost a lot of ISK. Be something very, just help the economy out in Eve. And of course, people just love skins. You guys got Dom from OpenCons. He is a skin enthusiast as well as Rain.
Yeah.
They just love those skins, and that's really awesome. Because I mean, they have a bunch of them, and
I think Dom has more than 2,000 activate skins on his main character now.
That's awesome.
It's a lot. I don't understand how he gets into it, but yeah. Right. So before we take just a couple minutes away from chatting ahead of the next match, which will be our next match in Arena 2. Ooh, we've got... Am I reading the schedule right?
We've got good matches.
Next match starts at 1938. Have we got that long of a break?
Yeah, I think ours is a little bit longer than theirs.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so yeah, we'll have a 30-minute break or so. Take 20. But I do want to talk a little bit about why this is called the Charity Cup 2 this time and not the Captain's Cup 2. Jintan, who runs the Captain's Cup, Charity Cup, whatever you want to call it, he is fundraising during this tournament for a really great cause. I'm going to find the link to drop it in Twitch chat to you guys. But he's fundraising for the charity Western Hospice Care. This is a charity that is very close to his heart, very specifically. His mother, unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, and this was the charity that supported him and his mother and his family throughout their throughout that whole process, and obviously it's a terrible situation to be in.
Yep.
So
this was
the
to show
goal-
what's to show them how much it meant to him.
yeah.
Final days of that for care. So
The goal here was £500 GBP sterling for the fundraising situation. That has been blasted in the first day and a half, with more than £750 donated so far. The final total will be matched by Jintan's workplace, up to £2,500. So, if we really push it, we can get this this hospice charity who provide a ton of support to families throughout that region of the UK as they go through end of life situations. We can get them a huge amount of extra funds, which will make a massive difference. So do check out the Just Giving page. I've linked it in Twitch chat for you guys a little bit earlier. You'll see it on the stream before you hear me talk about it because of the stream delay. But yeah, give it a look if you can. Just give a little. Please do. It goes to a great cause, and I know Jin will absolutely massively appreciate it.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, at that point, I think we will leave you with this lovely view of the arena and come back in about 20 minutes, and we can talk a little bit before we that'll give us like 10-15 minutes to talk about bans, talk about strategy, talk a little bit more about the tournament format if you want, Radicus. Does that work?
So one more time, sorry, I was typing. What?
About a 20-minute break, and then we'll come back with 15 minutes to chat about the format, chat about bans.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Absolutely.
sort of riff on it. We're here
back
on the
into it.
casting couch.
Heck yeah, that's where we like to be at, is on the couch.
So yeah, we will chat to you guys in just a short while again.
See you soon.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Arena 2 here in the Charity Cup 2. I am, as ever, Dirk, joined by Radikos for our next 4 matches of the segment here in Arena 2. These last 4 matches before everything switches over to the main arena for next weekend.
That's really exciting for next weekend. Very excited to see what the final 8 teams are.
12 teams go through to
12 teams. Excuse me.
Go through to next weekend at the end of today, and by the end of Sunday, they will have been whittled down, obviously, to our final winner, plus a variety of runners-up. But yeah, until then, there are 12 matches still to go today. 4 of them are over on the main arena, finishing out these main group stages, and then 4 of them will be here in Arena 2, and then to the end of it, we will be switching back over to Arena 1 for the last 4 matches of the day. So there will be a point where we will end this stream. There will still be matches going on over in Arena 1 as well. But as of right now, we've got about 5 minutes before the next match. Our next match is going to be Nanite Toothpaste versus Chief Keef Zionist something. In terms of this next matchup, obviously we've seen these guys play today already. We are going to see from Nanite Toothpaste bands of Typhoon, Orthrus, Raven, and from Chief Keef, once again, the Crucifier, Arbitrator, Sentinel. Radikos, what are you making of these bands?
Well, I mean, they want to bring Chief Keef Zion with the damping out of the weapon disruption. Shows a lot that they want to bring some kind of projection comp. And I think that goes, with Typhoon, Orthrus, Raven band with Nanite. They definitely, want to get rid of Kite and the Rush for that. It is very, very strong. The Maelstrom is still open, which is a viable Rush ship, in my opinion. Especially with the things that they have open still. But I think we're going to see either Armageddon, control Newt thing comp from Nanite and Chief Zion. I mean, they could be bringing, they could definitely still be bringing a Kite comp, but it'd be like kind of like the Dominic's, drone Kite, that people have a couple teams have brought today.
Dominic's with the Navy Merm and like a Stratios or an Arbitrator kind of. Well, Arbitrator's banned, sorry, yes, but like with a Stratios, for example.
With Stratios, yeah, I think that's still strong. But at the same time, we could just see a Abaddon versus Abaddon once and again. I don't see it really going to the way of Rush. Mostly just because Typhoon Raven, Orthrus says, hey, we want to bring some small stuff that we don't want it to get, absolutely slapped. And kind of eliminate more of the Kite comp. So, yeah, I'm thinking we're going to see their Armageddon control comp versus possibly Adami Adami Kite comp, or just our classic gunboat Octo, Blast Fest.
Yeah, those gunboats just rolling into one another. It's been interesting to see, at least from my side, just how much we've really seen teams this time around leaning into those armor gunboat style situations a lot more than we've seen things like, for example, cruise missile Ravens. Which it's worth noting. The cruise missile Raven is one of the.
It's a thing in this meta, I'm gonna say, but
it's been less popular. And when you consider that a cruise Raven can sit, at 30 kilometers off the center beacon and reach out and touch the entire arena. But then
look at this. Yeah,
Are
ships
you
on the
talking
field,
about
sir.
the ships on the field? Let me switch over to my camera and let's get a better look.
We have a nice little mirror here, folks. Like I said, it's gonna be one or the other. It is the armor projection. I kind of felt that one. Only difference here, in the Armageddon PNI Devoter, Augur, Magus carries that Nanite brought. The Chief Keef Zionists opted for the Phobos over the Devoter. I think it's an interesting choice. But right now, we're going to see a huge, like we talked about a lot in the last match we casted, is the Carries War. And with that, we'll be starting the match about 15 seconds.
Yeah,
What do you think about this, Dirk?
that early damp war is obviously going to be so critical once again. Getting in on the Logi is going to be a real effort for these teams. However, they've got these Prophecy Navies and these Abaddons that can reach out and touch things. They might be able
They
to...
going for an Augur right away.
Oof.
They're going for the Phobos. I don't like this.
I don't like the Phobos call.
We need to go for an Logi trade. I mean, Asher can only live so long. It is not Blaze in that Logi that usually would.
Meanwhile, Varadun seeing some significant damage as well. That split damage, trying to just maneuver around, see what they can get into. But they're focusing on anything other than Raw Dogger in the Augurer. Meanwhile, Asher...
Well, Raw Dogger has a lot of rep bots on, so I can see the difference of what they're trying to do here. They do want to get that Phobos... Oh, shit. Get that Phobos screened right there, which is good. But not going on their own Logi. I mean, their Logi's living right now, but it's not... I mean...
There's lots of back and forth with this match. You know, just probing around, trying to find where the weak spot is. What can you kill? Can you kill something under reps? If you can kill something under reps, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And this Devoter hitting 50% armor and dropping,
they might be able to... Off. If he can cycle off right now, he's still got a lot of time for the Augur to hold him. But if that Augur is damped down...
he's about to enter structure.
See...
There you go.
Just snapped. That's
First
very,
bloods.
very bad. Yeah, you don't want to see that Devoter go down. We really, more power. Looks like he's just trying to pump in here to what here?
They are dumping in
Prof
on
Navy.
Navy. Meanwhile, Asher under some significant pressure once again.
I mean, it's just less targets that the carries needs to deal with. And they can focus fire more, and it just kind of steamrolls after one D. I mean, not as much as a one DPS ship goes down because it is just the slot 3, which is the Hicks in this point. But with that logistics going down, I mean, this is really hard for Nanite right here. Yeah, it's unfortunate. This is a really good team here. Combination of Adapt and Forsaken Few from TQ, but. Not gonna be able to apply to the Augur right away, which now they are. Got a couple good hits on it, but just a little too late. I mean, they have to go through an Augur and then burn through either a PNI, and hopefully kill it before they kill the other PNI to hold any more chance in this.
That Augur.
But I'm feeling this Augur is going to have its regular reps, and now he's pushing away.
Is probably a direct response to Rosalio and his Kerry's damps getting on that Augur and forcing him to come in with his lock range changes. But he's pushing back out again, he's pulling away, and he's probably going to start recovering. Meanwhile, Fire Poison in the Prof Navy just being steadily eaten away out.
More power can get turned around and get some transversal here. He can maybe get some good shots on this Augur, but the PNI from Teef is just about to hit, and once that DPS goes down, that's about the time where I'm going to have to say, outside some catastrophic throws from the Keef team, this is pretty handedly a win for them.
Yeah, damage being spread a few different places. Damage on Raw Dogger again, damage on Varadun, just trying to get whatever they can here, but the Logi trade just failing on the Logi trade early on hurt them, like we
Mhm.
saw in the last match. Yeah, and in this sort of format, carry is broadly a pick or ban ship.
Absolutely, 100%. We learned that. I mean, against when we went against Yabby Daddy's our team. This is fine last week. Instead of bringing a carries that we have preached about all practice, the whole season of practice, that's a pick ban ship. Um, Opted to take a hyena over the carries because we were scared of the rush, and we thought, we're like, we think they're gonna bring a rush. We didn't think they'd bring, projection comp, and we gambled and lost. And if we were out of carries in that comp, we would have had. I think we had practiced it enough to where we could have definitely overcome and
Had a
not
bit more
bringing
of a
it.
chance at least, yeah.
Yes, I felt much more confident. If we would have had a carries over a hyena, and that's just the way it is. Sometimes you got to gamble, and you lose. So sometimes you
First
don't
recon.
screen and lose against tests. So that there you go.
First recon popped there. Now we are just down to more power in this Abaddon, stuck in the middle of the arena. He's gonna chunk through a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna take a little while for him to die.
once again we're seeing this sort of mirror match setup where you build your bands, and with this very we mentioned it a little bit earlier, this sort of cookie cutter situation in terms of how you build comps for this particular tournament. You have to have a battleship, you have to have a battle cruiser that isn't a command ship, you have to have a cruiser that is either, a T1 slash pirate or a Hick. You have to have a Logi cruiser, T1 Logi cruiser, or a T2 Logi frigate. Now, that's actually an interesting question for you, Radikos. The
Mhm.
T2 Logi frigate, you can only bring one in this format, but you are allowed to bring one. What do you think about the T1, the T2 Logi cruiser, Logi frigate
Well,
coming
I
in
was
solo? What do you think about that?
okay. So I don't believe in the solo Kieran. We've seen that. I don't believe in the solo Deacon, but I do believe in the solo Thalia and the solo Scalpel. Scalpel only in the kite comps, and the Thalia, I think maybe in like a drone kite comp. Just because if you ban out, like weapon disruption, um, you can skew it towards what we basically have been seeing, which is gun spam, and really kind of be able to stay alive in the solo Thalia. I think that it's a little underrated and underused. We wanted to bring that eventually, and I was hoping this weekend when we make it, we would have had a comp that had that, but you can't. It's a hard thing to play with. It's like you got to make sure the bands fit perfect, and you think they're going to bring something. You can't. It's just hard to do with in any match, just to guess what someone's going to bring, right? But I think that the solo Thalia can work in armor and a few armor comps, but only the solo Scalpel. The others, no way. It's just a waste. They're gonna get clapped, cheeks clapped like it's they're a virgin on prom night. So
Oh my god. uh, I do love commentating with you, Radikos. Sometimes some of the comments that you make are just like just out there enough.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that was a match that was over in what's that? Just a little bit more than 6 minutes. So we have what is that looking like? About 7 minutes due till our next match starts. What do you want to talk about in terms of this format or this tournament? What do you think has been some of the best parts of it, some of the worst parts of it? How are we feeling?
I mean, the worst part is us getting knocked out, going to like third tournament in a row. For me, what I've seen from the tournament, um, I've liked a lot of it. I mean, to be completely honest, I haven't. It's always a dice roll when it comes to any tournament play, I think. but a big part of it is execution. And when a team that isn't as good as another team executes and wins, I think that's so huge. Uh, I think doing that, seeing teams upset other teams, makes me really happy because then it just shows that it is all about execution with that dice roll in there because I mean you could bring a kite, you could bring a rush comp against kite comp, and you're not gonna win. You know, you're not gonna catch it. Um, as long as the kite comp,
As long as there's
effectively
no
executes.
key mistakes, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah, I mean it's interesting that you talk about that as a kind of like this is a much more level playing field in terms of you can't bring massively off the wall uh, match comps, right? You've got to be
mhm.
within that box that we've talked about a little bit already. So yeah, when it comes down to it, execution matters. Also, punishing execution mistakes matters. You know, being able to see the mistake as it happens and kind of go, yeah, that was a mistake, and now you are going to die. Um,
Yeah,
that ability to see it as it happens is really key for a lot of teams, and honestly, I've been really happy to see some, well, not some, a good chunk of newer teams coming through into this
group stages.
charity
Yeah.
cup, coming into
Oh,
the
that
group
too.
stages, but just broadly speaking, you know, a lot of newer teams coming into a tournament, giving it a shot, seeing how they do, and you know, hopefully we'll see that reflected into the AT coming later this year. We don't have dates for that yet, but CCP have put it on the roadmap, so it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah, I hope it's not summer because that'll be really bad.
Yeah,
Like for
no,
CCP, if they do it in the summer, it would not be good.
give us like an
Players wouldn't
October,
be happy.
an October AT or something like, you
Well,
know.
I mean that's every year. I would like to see it later, but that's only because it's winter in Minnesota and there's nothing much to do outside. So it's just more fun to have practices. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's only so late in the year that you can go without kind of running into people's holidays and that kind of stuff,
hmm
which is, you know, a balancing act, right? But yeah,
right, right.
so you know, I
Now, this other match though on the other one is really good. Whelp Drive versus Grief Team 6. If they take out this Scorpion right now, they
they
still have
could
a
pull it
chance, I
back,
think.
yeah.
But that Navy Prophecy is eating a lot of DPS. Scorpion is just hanging on. He's finally hitting some hull right now.
And
Oh, this is big.
the hull is like being chunked a bit.
He was holding there in low armor for a moment, but yeah, now he's the chunking is real. Navy Prophecy, I think, still dies even if the Scorp dies, which is huge for Whelp Drive Active, but losing a Scorpion now going 27-22 versus a very good Tuskers team. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that Navy prophecy is gonna drop.
it needs
Meanwhile,
to. Oh, hey, look at that! Oh, we have a great match here next.
yeah,
Looks
we are
like
seeing
we
guys
have
coming
what
back into
Shrimps
the
as
arena here for it.
Bugs and Novak. Oh, this is a huge match. Lock some dudes up. It looks like we're gonna see. Looks like a Raven Rush with a Tholos. I'm spamming the lock button here.
Yeah, you're not the only one trying to get these dudes locked and then sorted. Um, what do we got? Is that a Raven? Is that a Torp Raven? Are we seeing another Torp Raven?
I
Any,
actually don't have my graphics turned up. Oh my god.
I mean, that Raven's warped in at 20 kilometers, so if that's a Torp Raven, I'd be a little bit surprised. because he's got that Onyx in front of him, that Cyclone in front of him, that Jaguar in front of him to kind of act as a screen. So it's possibly not Torps. Maybe it's the Cruise, the elusive Cruise Raven I was talking about literally just 10 minutes ago. But meanwhile, we are seeing another instance of what looks to be the Rail Hype late groups meta. Rail Hype, I think we saw it across a bunch of matches yesterday. We've seen it a few times today. It's an interesting use of the Hyperion. Certainly a little bit off the wall in terms of the application, but we do see the teams just kicking off now. Jaguar goes diving in, Cyclone Fleet Issue diving in. Meanwhile, that Raven is slowly bringing off the bat, and the Shrimps team starbursting out. Was that an immediate MJD from that Hyperion? I think it may have been. Blue Morpheum just straight across the arena, trying to get damage applied. Better Boars in the no vacancies. Osprey.
God, I was on the wrong
chunking.
key. Yeah. I mutilated myself there. Yeah, it is eating absolute shit. There's no DPS getting on anything for Novak. Now currently the Jaguar, which is screened by the Devoter, not moving is just going to absolutely get evaporated by Shrimps' bugs. Right now he's using what local tank he has to try and stay alive. But
it's only
as
going
you
to
see here with
so
the ADC, it's only going to last so far. I mean, you can't kill you can't kill this Devoter under AUG reps. I just don't see that happening, and that we have the Jag go down.
Meanwhile, that Tholos is hunting for that Augurer. He's trying.
Yeah, Mick needs to get on him to be able to even try to sway this match at all. But without Logi, he also just takes drones and just gets webbed down and just gets absolutely applied. It's pretty clean up job here. Very good screening, stopping the Jaguar coming in, catching anything, and just really kind of stopping everything else from being able to do what it needs to do. With the Logi dying as fast as it did, PNI, Rail Hype, Devoter, that's easy work. EM, DPS into EM, low EM resist. Even if you fill it a little bit, it does not matter. It applies, and it just absolutely mops the floor with the Rush team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that immediate MJD from Blue Morpheum at the start of the match, just kind of really pulling away from the no vacancies screen that Onyx and the Cyclone Fleet, which probably has a scram on it too, and just really making them work to chase him around if they wanted to get damage on that battleship. While their Osprey,
I mean, they might be able to get this Hyena here. No, that Auger's just big reps on it. With it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Onyx goes down. Next up, it's going to be the Cyclone Fleet, and then it's just a question of how long can this Raven last.
Right.
I will apologize to the stream for this kind of little bit of a jump around, but we're going to come in and take a look at, some of these explosions while we can. Get a look at the skins on that Raven and
no, they just have the lonely Raven left. Achilles all by himself. Poor guy.
Yeah, that hyena is coming right on top of him, which is not normally a place you would see a hyena, generally.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they are feeling so comfortable that this hyena is not going to break, even under
Yenny's
a
a
Raven
good
close by.
Yeah, Yenny's a great Logi pilot. I mean, the fact that they're flying him over Tin, who is one of probably the best Logi pilots in the game.
In the scene, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, it just says a lot about just the overall strength and depth of the team in front of us here that is just clapping this Raven as we speak.
Yeah, meanwhile, Achilles just trying to figure out, is there anything anywhere that can be done right now? And it is unfortunately not looking like that's the case. I don't know what else they could have done, really.
There, I mean, I don't see anything happening much with the rush here against the rail hype comp. I mean, you can he MJD away MGD oh my god MJD'd away at the start and still applied, right, and just still killed. And it's really hard to stop a team that can project. There's no carries here to stop any of that. No Kitsune to you know make the battleship have to lose lock, then relock, and then lose lock, relock. If that takes time, that can stop a projection team from applying and doing what it needs to do to make that logic trade.
It buys you a certain amount of time there to
absolutely
make a move, but unfortunately here they just got controlled and projected into. And yeah, like I say, it's always awkward when we see these just sheer masterclasses in how these comps are supposed to run, but I don't know that there was anything I could see at least that would have changed the maths there for
not with this dice roll. It's not a good dice roll. No carries, no mollies open, no one. There's teams that bring with the Celestis. I think that's kind of a niche ship to bring, but it did get a couple wins I saw in a couple matches in this term so far. But with that out, it just opens up projection so well. And the Hyperion's fast enough to run away in this, unlike in Lebanon or an APOC, right? Like the Hyperion has a little, juice to it, and
yeah, they're not.
The
Hyperion is surprisingly agile.
Well, I mean, if you're not a blaster Hyperion, like you can fit 2 tracking computers, to the Hyperion, and then you're tracking and applying. You don't like you at range. Like you're just, rails are good, as long as you have the application to do so. They have that with the Hyena, and the Hyena really helps also, and the Devoter help it against the rush.
Yeah, absolutely. That Hyena there with long webs, probably a paint. Suddenly, if you've got some reasonably well tracking rails on a Hyperion, you are in the game for sure. And then that Navy Prophecy, these Navy Prophecies, they don't even need tracking computers. Most people fit a tracking computer, and you can kind of like script either way, but you don't really need the tracking computer to still be able to reach out and touch people, as long as there's not a Carries or a Maulus in there damping you out, and those were banned.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where those bans come in for those projection setups. Like we say, Carries absolute pick or ban in this format, in a lot of formats.
100%. I mean, in this match is banned, and that's what happens. You're gonna get projection. It's like lazy piglets. Ooh, blaster rogue, or is it a kite rogue?
I don't know. Let's see what's going on the mainstream at the minute. That's gonna be a kite rogue from piglets. No, from Neglect Emotionally. Sorry.
Well, if they trade hyenas here, that'd be huge.
Maybe. I don't know. That hyena's getting caught
with
by
the Jackdaw. You should that Jackdaw should be able to cause some fucking havoc there.
Yeah, they need the thing about it is that Neglect Emotionally really need to be splitting some of that damage. Obviously, they've got some going into the Fleet Cyclone now, but they need to kind of split the focus of that Scythe, make him work for it, potentially distract him a little bit with a Heat Cycle. He burns a rep, something pops, or even just being able to sneak the Jackdaw through and get on top of that Hyena.
I mean, right now they're shooting the Fleet Cyclone, and they should use the Jackdaw to be shooting the Hyena as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
with that Osprey under so much pressure, like Tungen was one hell of a pilot, but you can't kite against that when you're kite by a Hyena. I mean, you're just going to get slapped up. And now,
yeah. I mean, he was going
it's
less
kind
than
of a
200
snowball
meters
effect
a
at this
second
point.
when he died.
The Fleet Cyclone dying will be very good for Neglect Emotionally. But I just don't see the swing it. Like, now they're going after the Scythe. The Jackdaw's webbed as well, just getting absolutely beat up. That's a rough match there for Neglect Emotionally.
We've said it already here, but it's one of those situations in which if you're going up against Tuskers, you're going up against Tuskers, right? You've got
right.
You've got to come at it with some sort of different approach, but you have to execute on it because Tuskers will see your execution issues and just punish them if they possibly can.
I mean, yes, but then you see this Scythe here die, Scorch Celeste, and the Scythe died pretty quick. With that Scythe dying, a Hyena dies very quickly, especially with just drones on it, but with the Phantasm and Ferox Navy shooting at it, I think you get clapped pretty quickly. It's just, without that down, you'd think they'd be shooting at least with the Roke on the Fleet Typhoon or the Onyx.
There goes the
Navok,
Hyena.
Yeah, but with the Navy Ferox going down so quick and the Fleet Typhoon or Fleet Cyclone,
I don't know. I hope
got
somebody's
reps
been,
back.
I hope somebody's been counting those ASB charges on that Fleet Cyclone, but yeah, the Navy Ferox trying to get some rep bots in, or that is rep bots, but it's too little too
Ider
late.
was trying so hard to stay alive. Yeah, definitely, flying his heart out right there, but.
Meanwhile, that Fleet Cyclone is bouncing with some active tank. Fleet Cyclone's not the tankiest thing once those ASB charges are off the field, so he's got to be running out of those charges any second now. And once that happens, he will start chunking pretty heavily under a Rook and a Phantasm.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, they both do have rep bots out on each other, but it's not going to do too much with the Fleet Cyclone and the Onyx up, in my opinion. Looks like we have Yeet Fleet Elite and Evasive Maneuverings loaded into the system now, so I'm going to switch back to ours. So it looks like Yeet Fleet and Evasive Maneuvering, Yeet Fleet banned Armageddon Typhoon Sentinel, and Evasive Maneuvering banned Jaguar, Orthrus Raptor. So I see a kite here with a Raven in our future with this Jaguar Raptor situation. Is that more of a targeted ban at Yeet Fleet?
The Jaguar, the Orthrus, and the Raptor. The Raptor's a really interesting ban. Along with the Jaguar, it kind of telegraphs to me that they don't really want anything coming diving in too quickly. Maybe this is one of those bits of opposition research banning where they've kind of seen Yeet Fleet doing something fun with frigates, fast frigates, trying to get in behind the lines. Obviously, Armageddon, Typhoon, Sentinel, pretty standard bans. But we do see, as we're talking about these potential targeted bans of the Jaguar and the Raptor, we see that Yeet Fleet has in fact brought
still having fun with frigs. Yeah, still having fun with frigs.
So,
we got Yeet Fleet and a Raven, Fleet Cyclone, Onyx, Osprey, Tholos, Crow.
Yeah,
we
and
have
then that Rail
who's the other-
Hyperion is back with the Prophecy
Rail Hyperion.
Navy. And,
Yeah.
like, just look where that Hyperion warped. He came in at 50. The Devoter's in front
Oh,
of the
man.
rest of their group to try and screen out.
That Osprey. I
That-
feel for him right now. He's pissing in his pants. He's
I mean,
I'd be
now,
shaking in my boots with this projection here.
if
Especially
that
with this carries,
Hyperion-
pick or ban, and EM on top of this.
I've got to say, that Osprey probably, if that Hyperion has an MJD, a local MJD, that Osprey is probably not in a good place for
No,
having any sort of good time. Coming back to this Crow, I think obviously that Crow is going to go diving in, spiraling in, try and get in on
I would
the
hope so.
Augura of Mr. Caps. But he's got a lot of stuff to get through to get onto Mr. Caps and that Augura. This could be a really
they're pretty
interesting
close.
one.
Seem too far from each other. That Crow just going in.
There we
The
go.
voter
yeah.
needs to screen it. There it is.
Prophecy-
The Crow is screened.
Prophecy
They're
Navy
shooting
issue MJDs across the arena.
Sky
Sky
Killer's a
Killer
gamer.
Russian is just like gone.
They're gonna slap. They're already shooting the Osprey. Again, they're
And-
shooting the Devoter because it's screening their only Logi, or their tackle in the Crow. And as you can
Handy
see, like
also
last match-
MJD'd.
Yeah, and as you see, the last match, what are they doing? Going right after the
Yeah.
Osprey, and Patapew is flying for his life right now. You got to give him some props. He's an absolutely eating shit, but he is taking DPS.
He's consistently dropping. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
the Devoter of Beam Aderon taking some damage. I'm not sure where the reps
I mean,
are.
now he's not. He just cycled off that
They
Jaguar.
are. Yep, the reps are now landing. There he goes.
See this Tholos. Let's see what he's doing.
That
We go
Tholos
with
is
Osprey slap. So he needs to get on that Prophecy Navy, drop as many dots as he can, move on to the Augur, drop some more dots.
the
Magus
thing about
too will eat.
the thing about the dot though is that, and this is one thing that we've noticed in my team with the Tholos in practice, is that the dot has such a short range, right? You've got to be within 6 kilometers of another ship to be able to drop a dot with a Tholos. It is.
Yeah, but you
very
drop
tr-
like 3-4. You get like you can get on that, and he's not taking DPS. He's now right after this Crow dies, and now it's going to go right to the Tholos. You're just hoping that he dropped a DPS on something, but the Prophecy Navy didn't
Yeah,
take any.
he needs to get some moving.
He didn't get. I mean, he's trying to get to the Yogg now. He's going to get maybe 1 or 2 dots off once he gets on it here in about 10. He's half shield. There's a dot. There's a dot. Another one. So the Augur's going to get a couple dots on him, but here goes a Tholos,
Tholos
and
is gonna
he'll take
pop.
some DPS.
Ogre
but
is under some reps here, but they might be able to push through the Ogre still. If they can push through
yeah,
the
Magus
Ogre,
just sent some light bots to the Augur. Fleet Cyclone is over half shield. I mean, even if the Augur dies at the moment, I don't see this turning the way into Bloodkind, and that's just the classic what we saw last match with Shrimps and Bugs with Novak.
Again, we're sort of seeing this this sort of high-end meta forming around these really, really maneuverable projection setups that can reach out and touch at like 80 kilometers quite easily, applying significant amounts of damage, enough to push through an Osprey at least. A T1 logistics for cruiser does not.
I mean,
have
in
a huge
practice,
amount of resists and everything. So
we would use the PNI. I would fly the PNI, but we use the double tracking computer on the PNI, and so we could hit, out to 120, right? Like we're looking to hit the whole field, especially if we have, winning the carries war, and I could solo the Osprey while, the APOC or Armageddon, or I mean Abaddon or
they've split the
Rail
targets,
Hyperion
yeah.
just apply. And you could just shoot everything else instead of the Augur because the PNI can literally shoot it by itself. And when it comes to the point if you're getting that mirror with the carries, you got to pick between what's shooting your Logi or what's damping you. And that's when it gets super spicy for for the carries pilot to make those damps, but also for the shot caller to say what what targets
Yeah, so
need what on them. Like the selection is so huge, and
while
especially in
Warhawk
a rush
is
comp with
steadily going
against the
down,
armor control.
it is worth
Oh,
noting
sorry.
that Blood Carnid in the Raven did go for the MJD, 192 kilometers in his battleship.
Ooh, that's pretty far in a battleship.
That's not bad. We've got to give props for that one. He saw the writing on the wall, and he went for the edge of glory, and found at least a modicum of glory at that range.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that match, just slightly over 4 minutes long, really did show the power of a well executed projection setup with that Rail Hyperion. Like, this Rail Hyperion kind of sleeper becoming the meta of the event, I think, in a lot of ways. Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, the team's got to get creative enough
is...
to try it, and then realize, hey, this is strong. Let's practice this with a Megathron, or with even the APOC or the Abaddon, and be ready to bring it, later on, because people just sleep on it, right? They're like, oh, it doesn't have it's a Hyperion, it doesn't have the fall off, blah blah. Like, you're just kind of
who fits rails to a Hyperion? I mean, really?
Yeah, but like,
actually,
think about it. Yeah, like it's a very good, especially in this type of environment, where you can fit your mid slots very like that. It's 5 mid slots. You do one for prop, one for a cap booster. Then you got 3 others to be like, do I do a sensor booster double tracking, or do I do like a sensor booster with a grapple and tracking? Like, you can really swap it up. Like, there's a lot of options, and I think really that's a huge part of why the Hyperion kind of shines the other the armor, the armor projection, because the APOC, the Abaddon, the Mega, 4 mids, right? You got to pick between what you're going to do, and sometimes having that extra application on the projection is good. Like, I mean, I think even a scram is worth it on the Hyperion, because if you're running with that, if you're running with the PNI and the Magus, let's say this is the Magus, you run the Magus because it has the skirmish links for your slot, slot 4 through 6. But it just makes the carries better. And then the Pani, or not the Pani, but the PNI, obviously you're running with the info links, right? So you're going to get those links that the carries need. And it just gives that ability with the Hyperion to project with the rails, but also to scram something down if it needs to, or maybe as we've seen, the MJD instead of a scram, you can fit the MJD. We saw Shrimps' bugs, Blue Morpheum, just MJD down and still apply, and just absolutely smack that Osprey like the Hyperion was a glass cannon almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just unbelievable, and too bad for the two teams who decided to bring Rush against the armor. Yeet Fleet, they're a very good team, but when you're running up against Pandy, Skykiller, Keps, Yatina,
I mean, by this point in the
Vidra Dark Side merged together, that's like probably the scariest thing you could, one of the scariest things you could have in a tournament.
By this point in any tournament, you're talking about day 4. If you count the feeders, day 4, you're talking about having been whittled down, and really, we're trying to figure out who these last 12 teams going into the final 2 days are. And you're talking about top 12 teams in any tournament, never mind a tournament like this, where your rosters are smaller, your number of team individuals that you can have on a grid is smaller. So some of these AT teams, these really high-end AT teams, have split off into 2, I wouldn't call them A and B teams, but like there's 2 teams from these really good Alliance tournament teams that you have to go up against at various points through the event. And like,
right
at that point, when every team you come up against at this tier is a team that will go in the Alliance tournament into a top 16, a top 12,
Well,
a top 8 slot.
the big thing here too is these teams, they're smaller, they're split up from the AT teams, a lot of them, right? And you get the big thing that I've seen is the fact that those teams that are tried and tested, they have run matches, multiple matches in a row, and you see
Yeah.
those teams winning. And the teams that you see losing are the ones that, you know, outside Eat Fleet, because Bloodkind, he was on the Rage Quit team, I believe, right? It's a couple of those other guys that weren't on the Rage team for the Cap Charity Cup, but they were on together
Think
for
so?
the AT.
Yeah.
You know, like most teams, if you haven't gone through multiple matches back to back, some today, the couple, you know, there almost seems like it's just like back to back, like within an hour. You know, that's back to back matches. You know, and that's
finish
a lot
a
of
match and you're immediately starting to talk about
doing
like,
bans, talking about the next
hey,
one, like
yeah,
because you got to move on from the last one, and unlike in practice, you just
there's
I mean,
no
you still have
post-mortem time. There's no any sort of breather. You are straight into that prep setup. Okay, what are we running?
who's flying, you know, what's the bands,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, and that all happens in, you know, this step-by-step thing. Like, you know, some teams have who they're gonna fly ready, but some teams, they have guys that, hey, they're good E-war pilots, we're gonna fly them when they're flying these ships, you know. Then we have other pilots that can do other things in slot 6 ships, like a screening pilot and stuff. And
Yeah, and these decisions change depending on which comp you want to bring. And
absolutely.
That really, especially
And that depends
if
on who's
you
available too. That person could not be there for the day. Then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, now
Right.
what are we gonna do? You know, like it just changed the whole dynamic.
Who's my backup for my backup kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really interesting, and you know, nobody who goes up in these final matches is a bad team by any stretch of anyone's imagination.
These are all good teams.
You know,
All good. They have all gone what 3? They like going into it. They were going like what 2-2. Or...
This is they'd have had to win 2 to get out of the feeders, at least 2 to get out of group stage 1. So this is like as we're talking about these last matches of the day. This is some of these teams' 6th or 7th matches, maybe 8th match, depending on how they came through group stage 1. Like,
yep.
Like this is a lot of matches to be played over the first 4 days. But yeah,
what's really cool about this is it sets up teams that don't necessarily get that far in the tournament, the main AT tournament, and give them that opportunity to get multiple matches in. So then when they do happen to get through and get into multiple matches, they're prepared for it. They're ready to go. You know, they've been there before. It's not something new. And then you can just get some really good execution plays, I think, out of that. Looks like we're getting some people in system here. Nanite, or it's going to be Baz's team, Premature Evacuations versus Bahalajadin, which I just call in short to Nano.
Yeah, we are seeing those guys in local. Gonna have to wait and see what they're bringing in, but we do have bans for this match. Premature Evacuation, banning the Maulus, the Hyperion, and the Keres, so really not happy with those damps, and the Rail Hyperion has been figured out there. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Blahij having a duplicate ban, 2 duplicate bans in fact, in the form of the Maulus and the Keres, following that up with a Tholos ban to avoid those dot mechanics that can really mess up a Logi pilot's day. Interesting. This leaves so many different comps open here as we see them starting to warp in. We are going to see a drone comp from Blahaj, the Domi, the Navy Merm, the Stratios, so drone control with the Pontifex and the Sentinel. And then Baz's team bringing a...
Oh, man.
Is that a Rail Mega? They've banned the Rail Hype, brought the Rail Mega, and supported it with the Navy Myrmidon, which is pretty strong as a booster ship if you fit it
and a Celestis.
And then Celestis for the damps. Okay, we're gonna ban the 2 damp ships that we don't want to see and we can't, you know. I mean, Kerry's pick or ban, but also the Maulus, it kind of telegraphs no damps. Then you turn up with the Celestis. Great fun. They've also paired that Celestis with a Kitsune. So, actually quite limited damage coming from Baz's team here compared to those 3 really strong drone DPS ships on the Blahaj side.
Yeah.
What do you think about this matchup? Where are we?
You know, I saw with the bands. I thought we were going to see a Typhoon kite comp versus each other, but this is going to be interesting. The Celestis is a huge pick in this. The Hecate is crazy thing to bring, but teams, matches off now.
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of positioning happens here with the drone versus the projection comp.
You know, I've got to say, you picked up on something there that I had been sleeping on, which is the Hecate pick.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Which
it applies,
basically
and it's going to
means-
shoot that. I mean, they have to focus. You know, the Sentinel has to focus right now on the Hecate a lot because it's going to apply to it.
Oh, it's gonna go hunter.
And right now,
for
it's
sure, at the right
Isaac
moment.
is doing the best thing he can right now. I mean, he's flying, he's running away, he's doing his best. He's getting good reps from Mini right now.
But the thing that I really was thinking there about that Hecate pick is that it means the premature evacuation team, their only boosts are coming from that Navy Myrmidon, which is
Yep.
not especially well bonused, right? It can fit them, and you can have rigs to increase the number of boosts it can fit, but it's not giving you massive bonuses for those boosts in the same way as the Pontifex is for Blahaj. Meanwhile, though, that Sentinel is getting picked apart a little bit right now.
He was for a moment there, but he's out there making moves, and he's staying alive. The Miram Navy rightly should be primaried here for the premature evacuate or for the Neon team to get rid of those links. If they can trade Miram Navy for a
Into
Stratios,
Stratios,
I think
that's-
that's really good for them.
That's
Mostly just
reasonable
due to the
trade,
links.
for sure.
Yeah. In the Stratios, not known for the best tank, but in these smaller formats, does a little bit better tanking in this format against not a lot of Tech 2 ships coming at it.
There just isn't there's an upper limit on damage in this format that doesn't exist in other tournaments, right? So you can play a Stratios, which is not a particularly popular pick in something like the AT or even the last couple of Anger games. It's not been popular there, but here it does actually have a bit of a place in the same way as the Ashimu has a place, right?
Yep,
Not a
Ashby has a place in this small tournament.
fantastically
Mhm.
tanky ship, but in this sort of situation with those long webs, it kind of works.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
And
that Merm Navy is in Hull now, while the Stratios has stabilized.
well, they switched over to the Sentinel. I mean, that's got to be causing it. The Sentinel right now, let's see where Mr. Isaac is at. Most likely doing his job the most correctly. Yeah, he's in there on the Miram Navy. Applying some newts to that, making sure it can't do anything. Has newts on the Stratios. Actually, his newts are on the Stratios now. Oh, wait, hold on.
Interesting decision to newt the Stratios.
No, I just had a glitch there. It was not Stratios. Yeah, so he's on the Miram Navy, but
Alright,
now
okay.
he's going right on. He needs to get in.
Yeah, so next damage target probably has to be the Executor for this drone comp. And there he goes.
Yeah.
There we see the damage.
Mhm.
Meanwhile,
And I mean,
Mini,
with the Augie, the Logi trade is in real effect right here.
yeah,
it's
Mini
so huge.
Mini needs to hold on as long as possible, which he is doing, while Yentai in that Executor just stripping armor, bleeding hull, and now
I mean,
he
it is
gonna
locked
pop
down right
in
now.
a
It's not going
second.
anywhere.
There he goes. All right. From here,
The jams just don't seem to be helping at all here. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what'll happen with the drones.
you've also got that ECM RNG, right? Like, there's no guarantee. Even though we see the effects on Fancy UI, it's worth noting, we see these jam effects on the Fancy UI. That is an attempted jam. That doesn't guarantee that these jams are actually landing.
Right.
And
there goes that Kate
really
just slapped without reps.
doing anything.
Yeah.
We are seeing
One thing to note.
notes in local from the premature evacuation team saying good luck for your next match.
Yep.
So they kind of know where it's at here. This was a really interesting comp from the premature evacuation side, but I'm not sure it was the comp for this.
Well, here's
this side of the
here's
tournament.
the thing with the last Charity Cup, and one person that I've been chatting to basically like since a week before the tournament, a guy that used to be on who's my co-captain from the Boundary Experts team, Hildici. He was saying, the meta is going to be drones. You ban out the kite and then a dam ship, and then you just kite with drones and use weapon disruptor, crucifier, or sentinel. I think the best thing to do with this drone comp, banning wise, is to ban out the other tracking disrupting comp, things, but also bringing one in return. We've seen teams do that with banning it, like they did right here. Like Baz's team had the same thought with this. Their comp that they brought a Celestis, banning Carry Smallest. I think the E-War can be interchangeable with the drones in this setup, because you can do it with dams or with weapon disruption, because you can still kite and you can still apply your drones anywhere, while most likely TDing the opposite team to absolute nothing and making them just be tilted the entire match.
Absolutely. Those like disruption damps, they are some of the most frustrating E-War mechanics to go up against now that jams allow you to lock what is jamming you. That change really did make jams much less frustrating, because if you get jammed, you just shoot the thing that's jamming you and
you just shoot it.
See what happens, right? It is worth. I will give some small credit to Costas in the Kitsune, who did go for an Edge of Glory boundary there and made it out to 186 kilometers. However,
it's pretty good.
I've got to say, when we saw a Raven do better last match,
think he'd
2
be able
matches
to do
ago,
a little better, yeah.
Yeah, for a Kitsune running pretty quickly, like, could do better.
Right.
Meanwhile, we are just waiting on this Megathron of the Basilisk.
Baza making his exit here out of the Charity Cup. Thought maybe they were going to make it through, but running up against Neon, you can't just think you can ban Hyperion and then bring the Megathron. It's a good pick, but I just feel like
it was a
nice
nice
bringing the
attempt,
Celestis, in this really kind of hurts. The DPS. You can you can be confident of what they brought, but I mean, it's kind of hard to bring that over, a Hector.
Oh, man, look at that Dominic.
Or even like a
I tried
Vedvac,
to catch that for the stream, but yeah, I do think there's a fair point there about how you end up building these comps and whether or not the trade-offs, right? There are very, very obvious trade-offs to bringing a Celestis in that cruiser slot instead of something that can do damage or provide webs or has the long scram of a Hector. It's an active decision, but it's not necessarily always the best decision.
Yeah. I just don't like the Celestis call. Like in the AT, sure, you have a lot more room, right? It can be effective there. But in this, there's just so much DPS that can be poured on. The carries can shut down a Celestis usually, but I mean that's all depending on what kind of how much like if you only have a carries versus a Celestis, you're gonna get the Celestis's lock range overpower the carries, right? I mean that's why a Maulus can beat a carries. You can just pull out redamp, and the carries just has to do all the work of running away, coming back in multiple times. So I just don't see it being as effective without the DPS. I mean, yes, it can damn stuff out. Yes, it can stop DPS, but the carries does the same thing, and it's way more mobile. And you're not wasting, you're not losing DPS, right? You're preserving DPS and projection with the carries while you're limiting that with the Celestis. Yes, a very good pilot, and Frank Meyer was flying it, but it's just really hardship to want to bring to this meta, especially in this late in the game. I feel like it's kind of a risky play, not a bad one at all. I think it's there's definite good reasons that we've talked about why to bring it, but just in this meta, I just don't feel like it's effective. But that was a really good match. I'll say that. It was really good 4 matches. They're really fun to call.
Yeah, so that is obviously
having me,
our last match of the day here on Arena 2, and that is the last match of the tournament here in Arena 2. There are 4 more matches coming up over in the first arena, live on the CCP Twitch channel. So do go, we'll be thrown over in a raid to there as well, but, jump on over, take a look. The streams, the stream will be back on the CCP channel next weekend from about 16:45-ish on Saturday, and then about the same time on Sunday as well for our quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals. Some of these quarterfinals, semi-finals, all best of 3s into a best of 5 for the finals. It has been great to be here on the Arena 2 stream. We got some casting couch stuff done.
Oh yeah.
I will apologize for not having more commentary. We would have liked to be able to do that, but unfortunately I've been running the stream while also captaining a team, which was a really great experience. I love the multitasking. Fantastic. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. My one last thing will be to note that we are again running a charity drive across the course of this tournament. Because Jintan, who organized this, is running this, has a really good cause that he's looking to raise money for. That is the Western Hospice Care charity, which helped support him and his family when his mum was going through end-of-life care. The response so far has been fantastic, but all funds that get donated are being matched up to £2,500. So if you can, take a look at the charity link that I've dropped in Twitch chat, and yeah, give it a look. See if you can, stretch a little bit for a really good cause and a really good guy who is putting together this tournament for your entertainment. With that, though, I will say that we are going to be done here, and say thank you for watching. We will see you on the flip side over on CCP's channel. Thanks, Radikos,
thanks for having me, Dirk.
being
It was a lot
here
of fun, man.
and being on the couch.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and good luck to the rest of the teams. I don't know who I'm cheering for the rest of it. I think I'm going Neon. I'll be cheering for Neon, and then it looks like Rage Sub after that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I'm just gonna cheer for whoever is the underdog in any given match.
Yeah, I like to do that too, but I still, I know those, people from both those teams pretty well, and I don't hold any bad blood towards Rage Quit for absolutely clapping our cheeks in the AT, but pretty ballsy to bring a Flag Vindy first match. Says a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like for what they wanted to bring against us, they definitely didn't want us to give us any kind of chance because that Flag Vindy, man, it was powerful ship. But yeah, I'm really excited for Neon. They are against the Gressley mid tier here today on the first, uh, very last match here. It looks like today, so I really hope to see them move through. Um, see the overclocker bout round two will be fun to see again. Um,
Yeah.
like we did see on this stream before the break. So that'll be fun to see that again. The Shrimps Bugs versus Grave Team 6 is going to be amazing. Um, yeah, I mean, all of them, Lazy Piglets and Neglect Emotionally, Tuskers versus Barcode. Barcode is an extremely strong team. It'll be really good to see them go against Tuskers again. It's always a very good match, no matter who takes the match. It's just so good. Also, to see Neglect Emotionally go against Evasive Maneuvering again will be good. You know,
Just, I mean, everything, right? Like, as we say,
all of it's just gonna. I'm so excited.
At this level of a tournament, every team is a good team, and every match has the potential to be an upset. So,
yeah, definitely.
it's gonna be really great. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will be out of here, and we will see you on the flip side over on CCP's channel.